Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. My neighbors are back at it again. What is new? Anyways, today I wanted to start this new series called Things I Have a Problem With, or something like that. And you guys are probably gonna say, what does this girl not have a problem with? And you know what? You're probably right. But I thought it would be an interesting way to discuss like a lot of topics. It's kind of like my take on it, but most of the time I'm probably gonna have negatives because it's called My Problem With. So there you go. This particular video is obviously about Urban Outfitters. You saw in the title. Interesting little thing is that I actually worked for Urban Outfitters at one point. That might be surprising to some of you. Others might say you look like you would. So I'm actually going to talk about that a little bit in this video because my personal experience has a lot to do with it. Anyways, in beginning this, I want to talk about a couple of things that Urban Outfitters has done that I really didn't like. There are multiple things, okay? So I'm just telling you a couple. I know there's plenty more out there, and if, you know, a simple Google will give you those answers. So one thing they did was that they had a shirt that said "Eat Less" on it. They were selling a shirt like that. And the model in the picture, as most models, has very, very small legs and just too thin in my point of view. And with that message, it just seemed very bizarre to me that a company would sell that, especially when they do cater to generally younger people. They don't cater to like 60-year-olds, and even if they did, it'd be fucked up, but it's impressionable people, you know? So I didn't like that. Another thing they did is that they were selling this product called Peach Shampoo for Suicidal Hair. And, you know, like, I know that it isn't their brand that's selling it, but it's another brand that they chose to have in store. And I just think it's in incredibly poor taste. So by selling it, Urban Outfitters was still backing up the product. So that to me says like you are guilty in some way. We have another shirt that says, it's like a crop top that says depression all over it. And, you know, I don't really think I need to point out why that's wrong or messed up. But even to like prove another point is how incredibly expensive Urban Outfitters is for seemingly no reason. Like this crop top was $59. $59 for like, what, 3/4 of the fabric and just like some screen printing? It's a no. Another thing that Urban Outfitters and other companies too, like Zara, has gotten into a lot of trouble for is stealing and copying the work of other artists. And here you can see a lot of similarities between some of their products and products that other people have designed. So aside from these things, I actually worked there for a week and then I left because I hated it. And my situation was a little bit weird because pretty much when I first applied, I got an interview immediately, and the interview was like terrible. I can tell you guys more about that if you're interested about the interview process there because oh my god, it's terrible. But anyways, I got hired and I had given them all my information as an international student, and I know that they have had plenty of international people working there, and I'm saying this because I wasn't like a new case to them that they never dealt with. Like, however, it literally, like actually literally took them a month between hiring me and getting me to work because they kept delaying things because they were having a difficult time with my paperwork, when in reality I found out later from another company that I got hired from that it's actually not that hard and it wasn't like all this like huge thing. I just need to give them some extra information. So then training day. So on training day, I went in. We were supposed to train for 4 hours. So I go in, they're showing us the back room or this like the stock room, whatever you call it. And there was this blonde girl in front of me, and I specifically remember her because of what happened, but also because she was really tall and thin and pretty. And so she's walking in front of me, and we go to the stock room and there's a brick holding open the door. All of a sudden, this girl faints, hits like this part right under her eyebrows on the brick, and is like passed out. So I was like, oh, what the fuck? First of all, the person who was with us had no idea what to do, and she was one of the managers. So I was like, I mean, obviously everyone would be surprised, but she was super slow in reacting, and it was clear that they had never covered what to do in case of an emergency, which should be pretty obvious because it's like call 911 and, you know, stay with the person, whatever. Anyways, so we're all like sitting this girl up, and then she wakes up and she's like freaked the fuck out, obviously, because she's like, what happened, what happened, what happened? And she's bleeding, and especially because it's here, like you bleed pretty profusely. And so me and a couple of other people like let us let us go call 911. And they were like, no, it's okay. And I was like, she hit her head on a brick, full body weight slamming down, not even on the floor, on a pointed brick. And they said no again. And I was like, so if something like this happened to me, they obviously would not, or likely would not, call any ambulance. They got her to get picked up. Thankfully, someone in our family worked as like an EMT or something, so she did get looked at. But after that, I really had like a bad taste left in my mouth. I was like, this is fucked up. Aside from that, there was another instance, this is like specific to the store that I was working at, where we had to learn all these codes about like when you leave the store, like you need to get pat down and they need to check your bag to show that you didn't steal anything, blah, blah, blah. So at my first day of training, I had read these rules, but I wasn't sure about how the hierarchy worked, in the sense that if a manager was leaving, I didn't know if they could ask me to pat them down or if they needed another manager to pat them down, you know. And so this girl comes to me. Note, in the store there were at least 10 or 12 people working, and we were not introduced to each other whatsoever. So this girl comes up to me and she's like, hey, can you check me out? I need to go to lunch. And I was like, yeah. And then she's like, so can you pat me down? And I was like, oh yeah, of course. So I pat her down, I check her bag, and she leaves. Then after, she comes back and she's like, so I guess you didn't read the manual. And I was like, what? And she was like, you didn't read the manual? And I was like, yeah, I did. She was like, well, if you did, you would have known that you can't check me out because I'm a manager, blah, blah, blah. Or like she was some assistant manager or head of something. So I said, I'm sorry, I didn't know your position, but I did read the manual, so I know what the rules are. I just don't know everyone's position just yet. And then she's like, well, you could have asked me. I was like, so she deliberately kind of tested me and tricked me on like I think this was like right after the girl left. So this was within the first hour. So I was like, what the hell? I really didn't like that, and it made me feel really uncomfortable. And honestly, the whole staff there was super fucking bitchy. And you know, there's this whole stereotype about Urban Outfitters that everyone's like an artist or a musician. Totally true based on the store that I was at. And I'm not shading that. Like I'm technically an aspiring writer, so like, you know, like I'm technically part of that crew, but it was a no from me. And then the best part was that once I left, I got a notification that they were being sued because they were overworking people without paying them. So I was like, got what you deserved. Anyways, I hope this was entertaining to you. Let me know if there's something specific you want to see in this series. And again, thank you for watching.